All right, everybody. Hello. Hope you're doing great. Good to see ya. Here we are with another weekly roundup. But this week it's the midweek roundup because I've missed two of them. Sorry. But it's one of those things. I have three kids. The ones of you who have classes with me on the regular, you know that when I'm not in class, which is not often throughout the day, I'm spending time with my family, trying to help raise the girls right, as we say in the South. This isn't proper English. Raise the girls well would be proper English. But where I'm from, North Carolina, born in Texas, raise the girls right. I want to raise them right, get them right. We have to spend, a good bit of time with them, teaching them, helping them learn. We've got to learn them up good. Learn them up good. Learn them up good. Help them to learn well how to do things. Learn them up. Learn them up. Very improper English, but very dialectical too. Hope everybody's having a great week so far. We've made it to hump day. This weekly roundup is going to be a 2-in-1. So you guys get a double feature. Once again, I've done this before. I try not to do it, but again, some weeks I just cannot sit down on Sunday night at 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30 and record these like I'd like to. So when I have to miss a week or two, like this one, 2 weeks, then I'll catch up whenever I can. We'll go live here on Twitch, and then all the videos are always posted on YouTube. So if you type exclamation point socials into the chat here, I can probably do that for you and help you out. Exclamation point socials, that will bring up the Rice JD Bridge School Online YouTube channel. And of course, Streamlabs looks like it's probably broken. I'll fix it another time. It's one of those things again too. We do the streams on the weekend. Usually everything works for the stream, but then these commands like to just, I don't know what they do. They just sort of break down on me more often than what I feel like they should. But anyway, at the end, we'll have a link. You can always go to the Twitch homepage, my homepage for Rice JD Bridge Gaming, and there's a link for the Discord channel. There's a link for the YouTube. So either of those places, find the community, and you can find the videos posted on YouTube. All right, let's see if I can remember what we did 2 weeks ago in class. This one's actually not the right one. I want the driving lesson first. Driving. So 6/17, the week of. No, really? Like I have the dates backwards. What does this one say? 6/23. No, I guess that's right. Ah, okay. Anyway, I see what's going on. It's my brain. My brain's a little bit fried. We were at the pool for a little while this evening. We took about an hour after my last class, go and get the girls outside. One of them's getting really good. Her swimming's getting really good. The other one, getting a lot better. Last year, a bad year for her. For some reason, she did not like being in the water. This year, she looks more like she did 2 years ago. She was on a good track 2 years ago. Last year was a bad year. This year looks like she's again back on track, swimming well. So we're trying to work with her because swimming is one of these basic life skills. For me, especially, I love the water. I often swim in the mornings to wake up, and it's just something that my kids learn to do. This is a requirement in the Matlock household. All right, driving. Does that look okay? I think it does. All right, here we go. Um, Again, let me flash this up here. If you're not following the channel, please do. Please make sure you follow us here. When we get to 50 followers, we get access to Twitch's affiliate program, which I'm not as worried about having the title of Twitch affiliate. I'm more worried about having full access to channel points and the other fun things that I can add and create so you guys can enjoy and have fun while we do these roundups or while we play video games. I would really like to play the Elden Ring DLC on stream. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know when I do it. I have no idea when I could find the time to do it. I'd love to, but I just realistically am not sure. If I started it, I don't know how long it would take me to finish. I feel like I'd just have to stream for an hour or two here and there, maybe sometime late at night, maybe sometime early in the morning, and it would take months for me to finish. base game, Elden Ring. I finished Elden Ring in hours. And I streamed most of it on Facebook in between jobs. So I was able to play it all the way through on Facebook, but I mean, it's a lot of time, and there is just no chance I could get driving. Here we go. American English versus British English. In this lesson, for our students at English at the Ready, we had a lot of American English and British English words and phrases. The word tire, tire. In American English, T-I-R-E, tire. British English, Y-R-E. A thick rubber ring that fits around the rim of a world happened here. I don't know. This is not supposed to be there. Of a wheel. It looks like I just copied and forgot to delete. We'll just modify these as we go. American English versus British English. Tire, tire. A thick rubber ring that fits around the rim of a wheel. So the spellings are different, but the pronunciation exact same. Tire, tire. There's no difference. This word bothers me, this British English word, this spelling, because there's also a city named Tyre in modern day Lebanon. This used to be a famous city in Carthage. The city is a city, I guess, still on an island. When the Romans, the Carthaginians, were fighting for control of the Mediterranean regions, the Romans attacked Tyre. And it's a very famous Roman battle, Carthaginian battle also. But the Romans built a bridge to get to this city on an island, because otherwise they couldn't take boats across the city, because I believe there were chains in the water. I'm just thinking, this is more of my medieval history mind. I have a very close friend who medieval historian, and we'll sit around and chat about these things. So I learn a lot from him in this regard. But I'm assuming there are a lot of chains in the water. There may have been use of Greek fire. We talk about Greek fire sometimes, and no one really knows exactly what its composition. Um, they had a very defensible city on this island. The Romans were able to build bridges to get to it, and they sacked the city. It was a very famous battle because of how difficult it was to get to and the engineering feats that the Romans had to come up with to conquer this city. Tyre. Gas. Petrol. Some British people will say petrol. Not all of them. Petrol, gas. It's a fuel used to power internal combustion engines. Combustions, explosion. Small explosions inside power the pistons or they cause the pistons to move, and that creates the power or the energy that goes through the rest of the car to make your car go. Without being too technical on this one. Gas, petrol. Gas is short for gasoline. Gasoline. Petrol is short for petroleum. Petroleum. So gasoline and petroleum. Trunk. Boot. The enclosed space at the rear of a vehicle used for storing luggage and other items. The trunk in American English. Boot in British English. It's really confusing for an American. If you haven't heard this word, or you're not familiar with it, or don't hear it often, you think a boot. Why would you put something in your boot? Put your luggage in your boot? Like my shoe, my boot that I wear outside in the garden? No, it's the trunk of the car. The trunk, the boot. And then the windshield and the windscreen. This one bugs me too. Windshield, windscreen. The front window of a vehicle. The windshield or the windscreen. Windscreen is British English. A windshield is the American word, and it makes sense to me. When you drive down the road, the purpose of this window in front of the car is to block the wind from hitting your face, to keep birds and bugs from flying in and hitting you in the face. You know, think about Fabio on his roller coaster years ago when he took the bird to the face. Having a windshield protects you. A windscreen, to most Americans, to me, but most Americans that I know, the door back here, the door that goes outside to my little porch garden area. There, I can open the glass door, and then there's a screen door. That's a windscreen. It's a metal crosshatch. What's the word I want to use? It's like a woven metal frame, not frame. It's woven metal screen between a metal frame. This blocks things from coming into the house. The wind can come in, the air can come in, we can get fresh air, but leaves and sticks, animals, bugs are kept outside, right? That's a windscreen. So when you say windscreen in a car, I think, no, why? Why a windscreen? A wind shield is the glass shield, but the British call it a windscreen. Again, American English and British English can sometimes be very confusing. And I find car vocabulary to be one of the places, one of the subjects, one of the topics. I like the word topic. One of the topics where British English and American English have so many differences. All right, now we have a dashboard versus a console. Pardon me, a little dehydrated today. Need that water. A dashboard versus a console. So, a dashboard is the control panel in front of the driver's seat, which displays information about the car. So, you're looking forward, see the windshield, see the steering wheel, right in front of the steering wheel, just between the steering wheel and the windshield, usually, you're going to see the dashboard. It has the readouts for your speed, for your acceleration, for your gas, how much gas you have left, how hot your engine is, your battery health, and sometimes some other things too. That's your dashboard. The console, the center console. The console is the section located between the driver's and passenger seats. You see, I'm pointing on my right. I'm American. We drive on the right-hand side of the road. So our seat, our driver's seat, is on the left side of the car. So my center console is to my right. It's between the driver's and passenger seats with controls like the gear shifter, transmission lever, climate, audio, navigation, drive mode, etc. I meant to say climate control here. Climate controls, audio controls, navigation controls. A lot of cars nowadays have a computer system in the center console. So you have your dashboard in front of the wheel, and then just to the right in the center between the driver and the passenger, you have the center console. So that's how these are different. They look similar, but they're in different locations, and we do have different. A dashboard has displays, different displays to give you information. The console is for controls. Console gives you space for buttons and switches and computer touchscreens where you control things in the car. Hopefully that makes good sense. If not, please ask questions in chat. Or if you're watching on YouTube later, ask questions in the YouTube chat and I will eventually get back to them. If you at me, at Shady, at probably at Jacob too, and that should pop up with an at because my personal account follows my YouTube account. It gives me a way to double check things. It gives me a backup. So we had some idioms with the same meaning this week also, like pedal to the metal, pedal to the metal. The pedal, like the gas pedal, the brake pedal. There's another pedal in a car with a manual transmission. That's called the clutch. The clutch. The clutch allows you to change gear in the car. So the pedal to the metal. When you do something with maximum effort and speed, you put the pedal to the metal. You press that pedal all the way down to the floorboard. Metal pedal touches the metal floor. Pedal to the metal. Zoom, zoom. The pedal is the mechanism you push to accelerate the car. Got it? The pedal is the mechanism you push to accelerate the car. It's the acceleration pedal. Then you have the brake pedal to stop the car, and the clutch pedal to change gears. The clutch pedal to allow you to change gears. You change gears with the stick shift, which is in the center console. Press the clutch in, change shifter, release the clutch when your car's in gear, and continue on. What else should I say about that? I want to be careful with that one. I don't want to say too much. This one, Balls to the wall. Balls to the, this is not what you, that's all I'm going to say about that. Balls to the wall. When I say this, I say it a lot. People always think it's something else. You can probably guess. Read between the lines. Use another idiom. Read between the lines. Balls to the wall. What do most people think? That's not what it is. Balls to the wall when you do something with maximum effort or speed. The same meaning as pedal to the metal. Why balls? Why to the wall? What are you talking about, balls to the wall? Like, what are you putting on the wall? What's happening over there? Not what you think. The balls are spherical knobs attached to the throttle levers in the cockpit. Where do you have a cockpit? In an airplane. In an airplane. I do believe also for some boats, you'll have a series of balls. Um, and you might say balls to the wall to throttle a boat, the cockpit of a boat. But in the cockpit of an airplane, the balls are spherical knobs attached to the throttle, and there are usually three of them. Sometimes there can be more. Usually there are three, right? And you just take them and slam them to the wall, and the plane takes off. Pedal to the metal and balls to the wall when you do something with maximum effort and speed. The questions of the week for 2 weeks ago. Do you think the way people drive? Do you think the way people drive? Obviously, I didn't go over this. Again, I mentioned I didn't have time. Anyway, we can fix them right now. Do you think the way people drive varies from country to country? This was an interesting question. We have students at English at the Ready's Club from 30 plus different countries. So people come from vastly different places sometimes. The funny thing this week is everyone from the EU, the European Union, everyone, I'm not kidding you, everyone, Poland, Germany, Spain, who else? We don't have any French people right now. We did. Who am I forgetting? Czech Republic. I'm getting distracted, but these people all said, even the ones from this country, we have two from this country, say the Italians are the worst drivers in all of the EU. And it was just funny because the majority of our students mentioned the Italians. And I thought, and if the Italians are making fun of the Italians, we have two students from southern Italy, and something might do about this. They said that Italian drivers drive very fast, don't really pay attention to the road, the rules of the road. They don't use their turn signal. That was number one. They don't use their turn at all. We also have some people who are from the Middle East. They say that Egyptians are the worst drivers in the Middle East. I've never been to Egypt, but I have heard stories about driving in Egypt and how people just drive very fast, don't pay attention to traffic law very well. I lived in China. I drove in Shanghai one time. Ever again. Driving in China makes sense if you're outside of the cities. You're going to see areas in the countryside. Plus, you can read some Chinese. Cannot read Chinese? I don't recommend driving. Generally, a lot of the signs do have Chinese and at least Pinyin, the Arabic, I don't want to say it. Arabic translation. No, it's the Arabic writing. They use Arabic script, right? It looks like this writing to make Chinese words easier to say, right? So you see Arabic script, that makes it easier. But not every city or every small town has that. Some do. The bigger ones definitely do. But the smaller ones, they don't. And it's very easy to get lost. But I drove in Shanghai once, and it was awful. I just talk about traffic out the wazoo. Trying to find a place to park was the worst. Where in the world people park in that city? Everywhere. They park everywhere is the answer to that question. There are parking garages all over the place, but the majority of them that I went into that day were full. I went up and down and all around, and it took me over an hour and a half to find parking. Crazy. No, I will take the trains. Metro is very good in Shanghai. There are trains between all the cities, for the most part, all the major cities. Buses are ubiquitous. They're there all the time. They're easy to take. They're very cheap. I'll walk. I will walk before I drive again, or get a bicycle. Do you think driving is a skill that everyone should learn? This was an interesting question, also, because a lot of our students do live in larger cities around the world. And as Americans, we have this idea that we're supposed to have a car. A car is our gateway to individual freedom, right? We have our own wheels. We get our own wheels when we turn 16. Many families, not everyone can do it or afford it. I got my mom's old car, so she could get a new car. I got the hand-me-down. I didn't want that car. It was a 1986 Nissan Maxima. Look it up. I was riding in style. Not really, but it was a good car. It was a good car. Um, but when we turn 16, most people will get their driver's license. Most people go through a driver's training program when they're 15 at their local high school. Most high schools offer this driving training or driver's training program. Um, so it's really common in the US. And we just expect, okay, we'll get a car when we turn 16. Okay, not much question. But some places in the world, bicycles, walking's more common. Public transportation might be more common, or easier, or cheaper. So some of our students said, no, there's no reason for me to have a car. I don't need it. We have some students in Amsterdam. We have some students in Sweden. And they say, oh, I ride my bike everywhere, or I take the very good public transportation. Better for the environment, and it's cheaper for me. That's excellent. You have that opportunity. In the US, in the small town where I grew up, we needed a car. We didn't have a bus system. There wasn't even a bus to take us from my small town to the city, the big city. It's not a big city at all, big city nearby. Some places you don't have that option. So, is it a skill everyone should learn? I say yes, and this isn't my Americanness talking. I love living in a city or in a place where I don't have to drive. I really do. I love it. In the US, it is kind of rare though. But even if you live in a place where you don't need, realize it's raining outside. We've been waiting for rain for a couple of days. It's so hot here on the East Coast. Um, but anyway, what was I saying about driving? It's still a good skill to have because maybe you go on vacation and you learn about some really cool place that is close by, but you need to rent a car to get to it. Or maybe there are no convenient buses or trains, but there are cars you can rent. So at least if you have a driver's license and the driving skill, credentials to drive, then you can rent a car and you can go travel and see these places. Even in the US, maybe you need to move. You can rent a truck yourself and move things yourself for a lot cheaper than what you would pay a moving company. Moving companies may cost $1,000 or more easily, and you can rent a truck. What do we rent that truck for? Somewhere around, oh, some are cheap, some are $25, but for around $40, you can rent a truck. Sure, you have to pay for gas, so it's like 60, but you can rent a big truck and move your things yourself. We did this last summer when we moved to this location. I got a truck, we loaded everything into it, and we moved ourselves. Don't know if I'll do it again. I'd prefer to have a mover do it, but it costs a lot less money to rent a truck, do this yourself, than it does to pay movers. So, to each his own. All right. If there aren't any questions, I'm going to go ahead and kick over to second lesson that we're covering in this midweek roundup. Again, make sure if you're watching on YouTube, follow here on Twitch so we can get the numbers up. Feel free again to ask questions if you have them. Always ask questions. Again, if you type at Bryce JD at Jacob, then you'll be able to send a message where that will flag me. It will let me know that you're messaging me or that you have something to say. Right now we're a small stream, but we are growing. I mean, every week we're growing a little bit, and that's great. Even if it's not followers, getting the view. And that's, for me right now, that's just as good as the followers. Again, I'll tell you at the end, if you're looking for classes, English classes, on the regular, and you'd like to have class with me on the regular, English at the Ready. I'm teaching exclusively with them now. And then otherwise, Bridge School Online, we're working on productions, help teachers produce content, put content online for their students. We deal in multimedia. So check that out on LinkedIn, if anywhere. All right, books and literature, the next weekly roundup for us to cover. Slipper a little more of that down. All right, books and literature. These words are all very similar phrasal verbs, but they are not quite the same. A couple of them maybe are the same. Skim, scan, scroll, browse, look, flip, flick, through. Whoa. So through is the particle. Skim through, scan through, scroll through, browse through, look through, flip through, flick through. Try saying that 10 times fast. All right, these are phrasal verbs when you read quickly to get a general idea rather than detailed information. Skimming and scanning are useful test-taking strategies. I'll talk about this again in just a moment. I don't know why that has a capital S. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. There's no need for that. Oh, there we go. And then scroll, flick, and flip are often used when reading on your phone. Let's go through these. Skimming and scanning. Skim. If I find a book, where's a book? Okay. A book on social engineering. What is this book? Is this a good book? Well, I like the layout. Maybe I decide to open the book and I just skim through it. I'm skimming through the book right now, just looking to see what's in it, looking at the diagrams, looking at the way it's laid out, section titles, these things. Okay. All right. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't. I skimmed through it. I'm getting a general idea of what's in the book. Now, scan, when you scan through something, I'm looking for something specific. Social engineering, right? That's the title of the book. What the heck is social engineering? So I look like I'm skimming, but I'm scanning. I'm looking for something specific. The word social engineering. Okay, do I see it? I see social engineering, SE, S capital E, what they're calling it throughout this book. So you have social engineering, SE. It doesn't tell me what it is. I need to scan a little bit more. Scan a little more. Okay. Looking for social engineering. Here we go. Social engineering is not politically correct. Oh, well, okay. I learned something else about social engineering. All right, let's go one more. Let's social engineering. Media, no. So notice I'm not reading every word. I'm just looking for the words social engineering. And when those jump out at me, hopefully I see a sentence that explains it a little bit. Okay, here we are. Social engineering is, that's exactly what I want. Okay, so scanning worked. Scroll, browse, you can browse through a book, look through a book, flip and flick. We'll save scroll for my next little bit here. Flick. Actually, flip first. I'm flipping pages. Flip, 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 flipping pages. Flicking pages. Anytime you make a motion with your wrist, like that. Flick, 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 flick. Did it? Flip, 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 and flick, 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 flicking pages, right? Flip through and flick through. Scroll. All right, so, we don't just use paperback books anymore or hardbound books. We use our phones or we use let me pull out the big iPad for this. How about that? Use our tablets or our iPads. Okay, so I'm flipping the pages on the iPad or I'm flicking the pages. We would use both words for the same motion when it comes to the iPad or when it comes to a computer. Scroll, you have a scroll bar. Let's see. Here's some files in my computer about this. Scroll. Oh, wait. I forgot. This is the screen that's being shared. All it is a directory here. See, that's scroll bar. So I can scroll down. The same is true when you're scrolling on your phone on your tablet or iPad, scroll. What else? We also will say flip through and flick through. If you flip through a book or flick through a book on the iPad, or if I, again, scroll is looking at a page that extends vertically, extends, its length is vertical, right? So I'm scrolling the page. You could also scroll from left to right. If you need to scroll horizontally, you can do that too. So that's the idea with scroll, flip, and flick when you're using electronic media. I think that works. I think that covers everything. Okay, this word, alliteration. Alliteration. This word can be a challenge to say for some people. It's a noun when you use the same letter or sound at the beginning of words that are close together. Alliteration. All right, before we look at this, alliteration. Some people will say alliteration, alliteration, with a D sound. You don't have to. You can say a T sound. That's standard pronunciation. When I teach pronunciation, I always go with the letters you see, unless it's a case where we know they don't make their normal sound. This word, the T will make its sound. Alliteration. Word is alliteration. But what happens is a lot of Americans, a lot of people who speak English, get lazy with their speaking. And instead of going putting the tip of their tongue on the roof of their mouth, they'll put the middle part of their tongue on the roof of their mouth and say alliteration, 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 alliteration. Your tongue touches a little farther back when you make the T sound, a little bit farther. So it's just a kind of a lazy, very quick way of saying alliteration, alliteration. But alliteration works. So when you use the same letter or sound at the beginning of words that are close together, alliteration. A classic tongue twister is Peter Piper. Peter Piper. The title of this, or the original work where this tongue twister comes from, was called Peter Piper's Practical Principles of Plain and Perfect Pronunciation, 1813. I love people from the 1800s. They were mean. Like, come on, kids, say this. Let's pronounce it together. Peter Piper's Practical Principles of Perfect Pronunciation. You can't even say the title. How are you going to say this tongue twister? I quit. I give up. I'm going home. But with a little patience, tongue twisters are a great way to practice letter sounds. If you have a sound like H sound is common, it's very difficult for most people, usually. The TH sound, you have the voice sound, sorry, it's this one. I'm vibrating, right, my tongue. And then you have the voiceless, where you bite your tongue and you can't make that sound if you don't bite your tongue and stop the air from coming out. So bite your tongue, stop the air from coming out. That's the voiceless sound. And that's the voiced TH sound. So if you have trouble with a sound like that, you can make a tongue twister where you use alliteration, practice the sound over and over. Just make silly sentences. They don't have to make sense. Just make sure they're grammatically correct, but make them silly, make them fun. Like Peter Piper's Practical Principles of Plain and Perfect Pronunciation. All right, I'm going to try to say this as fast as I can, but I'd like you to pause the video wherever you're watching from, if this is, or if you're watching on Twitch, pause it and try to say this yourself. Okay, here we go. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? I'm done. That wasn't too bad. I think I can go faster. Peter Piper picked a pepper, but I can't tonight. Tonight, I'm gonna have a little bit of sinus congestion. We've been in the pool, so I have a little bit of sinus congestion. I cannot say tongue twister on my nose. I just can't do it. That's my excuse. But give it a try at home. These are great ways to practice your voice control, your breath control, and the way you're making the sounds. Because to say Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers correctly, Your lips have to be in the right place, and you have to, it's a plosive sound. You have to blow air out the correct way. And to say this quickly, you don't want to go, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. You look crazy, one. You're home alone, hopefully. You're not on a Twitch stream like this, like I am. But so you don't have to worry about looking crazy. But if you slow this down and you really focus on the movements that you're making with your mouth and your muscles, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled. Not too bad. Not too bad. Right? Don't go Peter Piper. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled. Control it. Control the way you speak. Good. All right. Then we have an idiom. Read between the lines. I said this with balls to the wall earlier. Perfect. So read between the lines. Why would people not want to say balls to the wall? They think it sounds weird. I'm not going to tell you exactly why, but if you read between the lines, you'll understand why. When you read between the lines, you try to understand someone's real feelings or intentions from what they say or write. Balls to the wall. What's my intention there? You may have to think about it for a while. But if you look back at the lesson, earlier in the lesson, we talked about it. Here's another good example. This is a real example too. Our anniversary is tomorrow, and my wife said we don't have to do anything. If I am smart, I will read between the lines, know that I had best planned something, or else I will be doghouse. A few, was it 3? I guess really last weekly roundup, but about 3 weeks ago, we talked about pet vocabulary and idioms that with the topic of pets. Be in the doghouse. I'll be in big trouble. So our anniversary is tomorrow, and my wife said we don't have to do anything. One of those minefields, right? When your wife says that it's okay, you have to double check. You have to think, probably not okay. This is advice I feel like my dad gave me when I got married. Vic, don't listen to what, pay attention to what she does. But this one, you forget your wife, can be very right. So read between the lines. Know that you need to make sure you don't forget, or else you might be. Read between the lines. Often when we talk to each other, we might say something tongue in cheek. We might say something that sounds a little bit off or sounds a little bit wrong. Say, what? But if you think about it, you read between the lines, think about the context, might take on a different. Read between the lines. All right, the questions of the week. Do you have a favorite book from your childhood? If so, what is it and why is it your favorite? The most mentioned book this week was The Little Prince. So many people said that they love The Little Prince. They've read it in many different languages. One person had read it in English, French, and was it German? I believe German also. The Little Prince. If you haven't read it, it's a classic. One of my favorites too. Go read it. It's a treat. It's a great one. My favorite book as a kid was The Wind and the Willows. It's still my favorite book. I think it's my favorite book of all time. The Wind and the Willows. Mole comes out of his hole to go while doing spring cleaning, takes a walk by the riverbank, meets a water rat. The water rat was on the river paddling his boat, and then they became good friends. The mole had never left his hole, so this was a new adventure for him. And then the water rat invited him to come out on the river with him. They started exploring the river. They met an otter, otter's children. And it's just the adventure grows bigger and bigger as this mole gets out of his comfort zone and begins to travel around this small world. First the river, the meadows, the fields, and then into the wild wood, where all kinds of crazy things happen. But I've always loved this book. I still like when we anthropomorphize. Yeah, that's a mouthful, that word. Animals. We give them human characteristics. I've always liked stories that treat animals like humans, put them in human situations. I think they're fun. I guess they're cute. They're interesting. There's a video game. It's Tales of Iron. I picked up for like $5 on Steam. It's on sale a few weeks. It's like Dark Souls. They say it's like Dark Souls. It is kind of. You're under geared a lot of times, and you're fighting something that's a lot stronger, and you have to be a bit technical the way you fight the bosses. It's fun, right? But it's mice fighting against frogs. There was an old book series called Redwall. Also, I believe they have an animated film too, Redwall. Redwall series, pretty darn good too. I love these as a kid. The Mouse and the Motorcycle. One of my daughters read The Mouse and the Motorcycle for her summer reading, and she really liked it. And I said, that's one of my favorites. Mouse and the Motorcycle. The Rescuers. The Rescuers Down Under, those Disney films. Fantastic. Other than that, I had this old gem right here that I intend to read to my daughter Lily, 10-month-old, starting anytime now. 365 bedtimes. I've had this book since I was a little boy. I don't know if I've had it 41 years or if I've had it more like 39 years. Either way, this book from 40 years old. My parents, before I would go to bed at night, I would make them read a story. Every day of the year has a story. Like June. Well, what is today? Let's do it. Let's do it this way. Today is June 26th. June 26th story is. I have to be very careful not to break this book. I may get this book rebound one day. It's a book that I really and truly love that much. Ooh, Spike in the Wood. This one's about a little elf. Spike. Oh no, sorry. Cinderella. Cinderella Part 1. Yesterday was Spike in the Wood. June 26th, Cinderella Part 1. So some of the most famous fairy tales are in this book, and they're separated into. Cinderella is separated into 1, 2, 3 nights. So for 3 nights, we'll read a short story about Cinderella. I feel like in June. June was my favorite. I always like this one too. Whirly catches the train, but a helicopter that chases a train. Um, my other favorite book when I was a kid, the first book I could ever read, and I could only read it because I memorized it, was called Freddie the Fire Engine. Freddie the Fire Engine, a very, very special book. I absolutely loved. But I feel like I bought it not too long ago for Lily. I'm not entirely sure where it is. I wonder if it came. I need to check my Amazon orders. I know I bought it, but I don't know if it ever came, which could be a problem. All right, enough about my favorite books. The second question, if you could read one person's autobiography, whose would it be and why? These were really interesting. We had people say Gandhi, we had people say Muhammad, we had people say Elon Musk was popular also. Quite a few people said Elon Musk. A lot of people said Matthew Perry, the guy who played Chandler on Friends. A lot of English students really enjoy Friends. Friends, and it is. Friends is an excellent show for practicing your English. You want to hear common idioms, common phrasal verbs, and the way that Americans often speak to each other. And it's a show that's spoken or delivered in a way that is relatively easy to understand. The characters, the actors, actresses, they speak clearly, not slowly, but they speak consistently, clearly in general. Most of my students find it easy. So Friends. Matthew Perry's autobiography was a very popular one. And of course, an autobiography, auto means self, bio, life, and graphy means something like writing or story. So it's a self-life story or self-life writing. If you take away auto, you have biography. If I write a book about someone else, about their life, then that's a biography. If I write it about myself, it's my autobiography. My choice for this would be Jack Ma. I want to know about Jack Ma from his own voice, from his own pen, his own writing. There's a biography, I think, Rags to Riches, I believe, is a biography written about Jack Ma. So he had an interesting life He wasn't born with a lot of money. He had a lot of challenges getting into school. I think he was rejected by Harvard, rejected by MIT, rejected by a lot of top schools, and just wasn't happy with his prospects for life. And he decided to begin Alibaba after some time. And anyway, that entire process is interesting. I would love to hear his story in his own words about what happened during those days. But specifically, was it 20, when I've forgotten the year exactly, but I think it was around 2020. Jack Ma Alibaba was going to have an IPO, an initial public offering, and the stock was going to become publicly traded. It would be a publicly owned company, an internationally owned and traded company. But the night before, on the eve, as we would say, the night before, kind of like Christmas Eve, night before Christmas Day, on the eve of his IPO, kind of said, no, you're not doing this. You're not doing this. And Jack Ma sort of fell out of the limelight, spotlight, and he hasn't come back. He's okay. I mean, it's not like they did anything bad to him. He's okay, living safely and comfortably in China, still very wealthy, but you just don't hear a lot from him anymore. And I want to know from his own perspective what that was like. I want to know what he was thinking, what he was told, how he felt, how he dealt with all of that as time went on from 2021 to today. Just I want to know. And I want it to be candid. I want it to be candid means open and honest, truthful. I just want to hear that story. That's a story I'd love to read. So anyway, all right, you all, we've made it. And about as I'd expect on time. Pretty good to me. Here we are, down here, Discord, exclamation point, Discord. You know what? I bet you this doesn't work, but you can go to the main Bridge Gaming, Rice JD Twitch page, and that's not. Oh, you can go to the main page and you can find the link for Discord there. The Instagram, RiceJD_Bridge Gaming. I don't use this a lot yet. You can join up there and get ready for future posts. I will post some things there once I get my workflow more in order and find more time. Now, I just don't have a large amount of time. And when I do get some time to relax, like after this little class, I enjoy my relaxation. It's important. And then we have the YouTube at BSO_Rice. Rice is short for Reisender, a German word. Reisender, traveler. It's something that a friend of mine said, I don't know, was it 2007? A long time ago. And it is something I just started using. I broke it down in short, Rice, and added JD, Jacob Dean, and the JD also comes from, I thought about going to law school at one point. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take the LSAT. And as I was taking the LSAT, I chose this gamer tag, Rice JD. Saying Reese JD is okay too. Rice, kind of funny because I lived in China. So some friends of mine started calling me, instead of Reese JD or Rise JD, Rice JD. Oh, yeah, you lived in China. Rice. Whatever. So there's a lot of history behind Rice JD. It's not just something that came out of the blue. I love it. I'll never change it for any reason. Never change it. But at BSO_Rice JD on YouTube, all of these videos will be posted on YouTube within a few days after this initial broadcast. They'll be on Twitch. I believe Twitch holds on to these for 30 days, for a month, and then they delete them. So you can watch them on Twitch, leave comments there, or you can watch them on YouTube. Again, if you watch on YouTube, come to the Twitch and follow the channel so we can get this follower number up and we can work our way towards affiliate. On YouTube, do the same. Please follow the content there. Make sure you ask questions, engage with each other. Eventually, I'll probably have some more of my students from my regular classes come and engage there, but I'm trying to build this separately from our English at the Ready courses. I don't want to flood it with my students from there. If they find it, they find it, no problem. But I just like the idea of keeping just separate enough so I can kind of test the waters, and right. So if you're looking for regular classes, English at the Ready. If you go to englishattheready.com, my business partner, he has a 1 hour training now posted on the website that you can watch that will help you learn a little bit of how to. It's really about study techniques, how to approach practicing, learning, and studying English. That's what that video is mostly about. You'll learn some things. There's some vocabulary there, but hopefully that video and what I'm saying now and the videos I'm making here on Twitch make you interested in taking regular classes with us, getting regular content from us. So check out English.com. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great rest of your week. I will do my best to come on Sunday night, 8:30, 9:30, some reasonable time, and we'll do the weekly roundup for this week, which will be on the topic of I have already forgotten what in the world I'm teaching. Medical vocabulary. Medical vocabulary. We're talking about medicine, going to the doctor, general phrasal verbs and idioms related to medicine. Anyway, check us out if you'd like. Make sure you catch the roundup on Sunday night, and I will see all of you next time. For some of you who are in class with me, I'll see you in class. Everybody else, take care. Have a good rest of your week. Bye-bye.